This portion is going to be the basic facial beyond the consultation. So at this point, we've completed the consultation, we've pulled appropriate products based on this client's skin type, and we're moving through using a basic facial protocol, including extractions and towel steaming. So we will not be using a steamer for this one. We'll be using an actual hot towel to do the same type of process to be able to loosen up that skin. So we've already cleansed, we've already toned, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. And that first step that we're going to do will be exfoliation. I'm just moving this exfoliant across the skin. And I'm actually going to use a 4x4 as my material to move around the skin. Go ahead and remove that. Just my wet cotton. So now we've removed all of the exfoliant product off of the guest, and I've also taken my wet 4x4s and removed any excess product off of my gloves. And so now her skin is free, and my hands are also, or my gloves are also clean of that exfoliant that we used. So now I'm going to move into my towel steaming, and I'm actually going to go into extractions. I'm actually going to put a little bit of my disincrustation fluid onto her skin to be able to loosen up some of that debris. And then I'm going to go grab my hot towel. So I've got my hot towel out of my warmer, and I'm going to wring that over my trash can to remove any excess water. I'm going to open that up, test the temperature on the gloved portion inside of my wrist to make sure that it's not too hot. And I'm going to go ahead and lay that down. And so as you can see, we've left her mouth and her nose open, but we want to make sure that we cover the top of her nose because we're going to want to make sure that we loosen up all that debris that may be waiting for us to extract. And so the hot towel will make that a lot easier for those extractions to come out. Just laying that into her skin ever so gently. And as you're doing this, you'll be able to feel that towel start to cool off. Alright, now I'm going to use that towel to remove that disincrustation fluid that I put on. Place that towel onto the side of my trolley. Now I'm going to show you extractions, manual extractions, so without the extractor. Your extractors are going to be really good tools, especially on the nose, but you do need to make sure that you know how to use just your 4x4s. So I'm going to take my 4x4s, I'm going to dip the tips of my 4x4s into my toner that I've already placed onto my palette. And that way, as I move throughout those extractions, I'm constantly moving through with a toner that is slightly acidic to be able to get rid of any germs that may be lurking just on the surface after we've pulled those out. And so if I were working on the forehead, I'm going to use my 4x4s with my fingers on either side. I'm going to push down to get underneath of that trapped debris and then pull up. So down into it and up. I'm never going to push into an extraction. I'm always going to make sure that I'm getting underneath of it, and then you can wiggle that up. If you're going to use your extractor, the nose is a great place to be able to use your extractor for that, but otherwise just remember, you're going to go up and under, and then push it out. Up and under to push it out. Don't ever try and mash at it, because what you can do is spread that debris and break the tissue underneath. It spreads to the tissue underneath. Now you've got bacteria and perhaps a pustule that's going to start creating next to that when it was just a simple blackhead. If we keep those pores clean and we keep the debris out of the pores, we'll have a lot less chance of infection afterwards. So just because I've done that extraction, I'm going to take my finger here that's got the disincrustation fluid that's left over, but also any of those areas where we did extractions. We've now got some slightly acidic toner to go over that and get rid of any of that bacteria. So now we're going to move on to our massage. You will create your custom massage, but your custom massage needs to make sure that it includes the 4 basic steps. So your 4 basic steps are going to be your effleurage, your petrissage, your tapotement, and your friction. And whatever that looks like to you will be your custom massage that you may end up using throughout your entire career. Right now I'm just applying that massage product. You'll be using coconut oil in your clinic and as you practice on each other. It's got a great slip to it. And you can move across the skin very nicely. I do like to start down at the décolleté when I'm doing a facial, and so I'll just do long strokes across the décolleté, never losing touch after you kind of get started. And then you can kind of work your way up. You're creating that contact with the guest. And moving up to the face. So these long strokes are your effleurage. It's a great way to introduce touch to the guest. Our circles are more of that kneading motion, especially when you add just a little bit of pressure. Still more petrissage as we do little figure 8s around the temples. Light pressure throughout that temple area. As I move my way up, we're going to do some friction. To be careful with friction, not to add too much. And to make sure that the skin underneath is steady. Forehead's a great place for friction because it does tend to have that big frontal bone that makes it nice and steady. Our tapotement. and then feather off. And so again, that doesn't have to be your massage, that's just a massage that incorporates those 4 movements. Your custom massage needs to include those 4 movements, but can be a variety of ways to do that. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take off that massage product. Massage will typically be quite a bit longer as well in your real setting. Just trying to give you an idea of what is involved in there. Now it's time for mask. You do not have to use a mask brush. When you do a mask, you can simply use your fingers. And so at this point, my guest would sit with that on for a few minutes. You could do an arm and hand massage at this point, or for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and show you removal. So I've changed my gloves just because I've got that mask all over it. You could use another hot towel at this point if you wanted to. I'm just going to show you using our 4x4s again. Alright, and since this is a basic facial, I'm also going to take my toner and rub that all over. So I've wet my cotton pad, I've sprayed my toner in the middle of it, and it fits perfectly right in the middle of my palette. Now I'm going to move on. I'm going to use my serum. I always apply to the face first, and then also work the rest of that product on my gloves onto the neck, making sure to use those upward motions, effleurage type of movement to be able to get that serum into the skin. Just keep moving until you don't feel it on the skin anymore. Do the same thing with my moisturizer. Last but never least is our sunscreen. And your sunscreen is going to be your last product that you put on your guest before you stop touching her. So make sure that you kind of use that same rule of thumb as we do with massage. It shouldn't be an off and an on. And so this is the last thing that you're going to do. Make sure that it's a nice exit from the skin. Gradual feather off, and then she's all done.